Boom, we're back. So, yeah, here at TTM Academy, we take music theory very, very seriously. Very seriously. So, you see, a couple of years ago, back in 2021, I had did a lecture on the Beat Junkies having made a giant error in their representation of the bar, and a lot of people didn't like me criticizing this mistake, but I think it's very important that schools audit each other and peer reviews. I think all these things are very, very important for hip hop education and education as a whole. So we're going to be going into that today, and especially as it relates to everything that's been going on with A-Trak in our past lectures. We're going to go to this. Let's skip forward to this. But this picture was taken from the Instagram in 2023, and the original ones we had first lectured about were from 2018. So from 2018 to 2023, this whiteboard hadn't changed, and we've lectured on cronyism and what can stagnate institutions, and shout out to their institution as a whole. It's an amazing facility. But we're just pointing out errors, and we're even going to be we're such sticklers here that we're even going to be pointing out all of our own errors. Like for instance, the De La Soul, a roller skating jam named Saturdays. We actually transcribed that, and we made an error actually in the transcription. We're going to be totally updating that, totally erasing the whole sheet, and totally updating that error that we did in that. All right, this semester. And then also, even we had an error from this guy from Italy. On my second book, TTM 1.0, this guy Italy fixed my chirp flares were off. I feel like he fixed it in a cool animation. Guy from Italy online. All right, so so let's get into this. How this relates with the A-Trak thing of A-Trak talking about him having notation in the 90s. We see I did a whole lecture on Building Better DJs episode number 5, where Babu gets it wrong. So you can refer to this right here. For those that haven't seen this was a long 4-hour lecture. Response Beat Junkies episode 5, teaching DJing, scratch notation history corrections. It was in the 00s, the noughties, not the 90s. Because in this Beat Junkies thing right here, he says it's the 90s. But what I wanted to say too with this lecture is that they got rid of this whiteboard now in 2024. I haven't seen it, and and they've got a cool projector thing above it. So I guess you can have cool projections on it. But yeah, I had just criticized that in 2018 is when I saw the representation of it right here. Let's go to over here. I believe it's, yeah, right here. So you can see, we zoom in. This is May 31st, 2018. They had it up. The error was up. And then, I had made the video about it in 2021, and it stayed up until 2023, but now it's gone. And yeah, they've upgraded it. The place looks really dope. So yeah, shout out to the Beat Junkies, and there was no type of beef or anything like that. People see analytic criticism, scientific criticism as like taking it personally, but because I think Babu was kind of salty, and he hasn't been talking to me, inboxing me or whatever. But yeah, so let's go back. I'm gonna play this for those that don't miss this. This was from years ago. So this happened all kind of over the pandemic. I had criticized that whiteboard, and it stayed up for pretty much the whole pandemic, all the way up until last year.
There was still kind of like it was kind of regional. You might go to like some other part of the country, and we call it shuffling. Oh, we call it doing doubles. Like we call this the chua chua. We call it the chawa chawa. Whatever.
So he's just talking about different scratch names. He's talking about the 90s.
But at a certain point, I think a language started developing in the mid 90s.
For sure.
Right, and there started to become standard names for techniques.
Yeah.
And that's where this, intersects with the last video about A-Trak and him having his list of techniques. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yes, there's lists of techniques in the 90s and people talking about techniques and, taxonomy. The taxonomy is, the art of categorization. So let's play this.
And I think that's like the early days of like really taking this serious is in terms of like, hey, this is something that can be considered higher learning. This can be taught. Like let's build. And I remember.
And shout out to Beat Junkies for using this, because over the years, let's go to this, they've had a lot of TTM come through on their whiteboards, and that's why it's kind of sad to see them retire their whiteboard. But it's better to retire it, I guess, than to have an error in it, because I don't know if it's permanent. The at the top, the permanent marker. I'm not sure, but so over the years, people have come through. Even K-Swiz. That's not K-Swiz right there, but this is a TTM. You can see they got TTM on the whiteboard. There we go. There's K-Swiz right there. And I think yeah, you can see right there. It's a 2-clicker right there. All right, and you can see the bar concept thing is still wrong right here, right? And that's from 2018. This picture, the bar concept's still off. So the whole time they had the whiteboard, the bar concept was off. But shout out to other these tutorials they've been doing, and also like D-Styles have been doing some really cool ones. Like these, like this prism, this is very, very cool stuff. So, Beat Junkies are at the forefront of DJ education, and hopefully they can, reinstate their whiteboards and, start teaching some more DTM, because, really can help advance Skratch education. But here in America, the Beat Junkies are, probably the illest facility we have here in America for DJing, and people being able to come through, and they've got great lectures. So shout out to their institution. Here at TTM Academy, we're going to be kind of assessing all of the institutions that are out there that are teaching DJing and hip hop education, and assessing these things, and talking about their programs, and analyzing it, and since we actually create the rubrics here as far as DJ education, as here at TTM Academy, we're the apex of hip hop science. We're basically just breaking things down and analyzing the game. All right, so let's go through here. All right, so yeah, they've had this whiteboard up for a very, very long time, and they've got a very cool program. You see, using a lot of TTM is very, very cool. Lots of cool Beat Junkies TTM stuff. All right, for those that don't know, right? But yeah, now they've finally gotten rid of the whiteboard. We can go to some of the new stuff, but they've brought it back via Grandmaster Flash, which is great, because Grandmaster Flash brought his own whiteboard. So you can see there's no Beat Junkies whiteboard here anymore, but they've got Grandmaster Flash with his whiteboard, and explaining his formulas, right? So shout out to, we're going to talk about Grandmaster Flash's formulas in the future. You know what I'm saying? That we're going to do whole lectures on that. But yeah, shout out to Beat Junkies for having him. And this is what it really needs to be like. Where heads are, really creating platforms for the elders and the founders and the, just all the masterminds that created all these amazing techniques and science. It's a real science. And him winning his awards, that's very, very important for turntablism. We're going to be adding that to the new turntablist timeline, because the last timeline ended at 2017. It was like 1971 maybe to 2017. Actually, it might have been like 1968, way back, Grandmaster Flowers and stuff. But yeah, so let's, and some of that's in here too, where you can see it. Where is it? All right, so let's just go back to this and the other Grand Master Flash ones. Let's see. Whoops. At the end of it, it's not going. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, I didn't want to accidentally swipe back. yeah, so it's cool that they're having elders come through. This is how it needs to be. We're going to be talking about cronyism in hip hop education, uh, because a lot of institutions don't bring heads through like this, and so shout out to the Beat Junkies for bringing heads through. A lot of people, it's cool to bring random people through to teach hip hop education too. But if you can have that random person that's teaching that class, bring somebody in that's not random. There's a lot of people that are would do things even for free, or just they'd be happy to come through. So I think it's very important to connect studies of cultures with the actual people that are the uh, educators in those sciences, those scientists. You know what I'm saying? And as far as hip hop and colonization, we need to really take back, hip hop education as well, as the actual $1 trillion hip hop industry. And shout out to Martha Diaz for organizing people on that level, creating the Hip Hop Education Center. All right, we'll be talking about her works. She's been doing a lot of amazing stuff. She's given me a bunch of platforms in the future to speak. So let's go back. So yeah, so shout out to B Junkies for bringing Grandmaster Flash through, right? But we can see their whiteboard is gone. He's got his own whiteboard there, or maybe that's their new whiteboard that's like a temporary one where you can pull them off, which is cool because then each whiteboard is a work of art, and that's what I have a whole section on that, and we'll be doing that more in the future of actual whiteboard art. So yeah, shout out to so both of these cats. But yeah, let's go back to this thing about history that we have to get straight because with the A-Trak stuff, him talking about having scratch notation in the 90s, which he didn't, and it says it on his Wikipedia. Babu is backing that up in here, but it's fake because he's just going by his memory's off. There was no scratch notation stuff in the 90s that people were talking about. you know um and I wouldn't even do anachronism of my own stuff. I wouldn't try to push my stuff farther back. And that's what he's doing in this, so you'll see what he's about to say.
Remember early on, there is turntable transcription that started at that time. People started being able to write and notate scratches.
So that wasn't happening in the 90s. And we have proof of that. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to talk about the John Carluccio stuff later. But, me and John Carluccio, I contacted him in 99, because I had the fundamentals in 99. And I contacted him. We met up. I gave him my first book on scratch notation. You know what I'm saying? And he hadn't released anything. You know what I'm saying? He was trying to develop a system, but he hadn't released anything. You know what I'm saying? It's not in his Battle Sounds documentaries. I haven't even seen all the videos in this. It's an extensive thing. I say go watch it. Go watch his. He's a great filmmaker. But as far as DJing, he can't. John Carluccio can't DJ. He can't write music. He can't read music. He can't scratch. He can't juggle. So how would he have done any of this? He was a publisher of my second book, and he tried to claim my system. And then he's been inboxing people and telling them not to work with me and stuff, or just telling him false stuff. So yeah, that's been very sad as far as hip hop education. But yeah, so building better DJs. Let's keep playing some of this so we can get history straight. But I already went over this for a 4-hour lecture a long time ago.
Yeah. Who was it? Radar? John Carluccio. Radar. A-Trak.
You see that? John Carluccio, Radar, A-Trak, right? And we were just talking about that in the last lecture, right? And these are all, men of the European diaspora. And, you see as far as erasure, they're literally erasing, myself from history. And yeah, shout out to DJ Radar, though. And then we're going to talk about DJ Radar from Berkeley and now teaching at New School. That's a whole nother lecture we're going to be doing this week or next week, as far as nepotism, because he wasn't a DJ actually before. DJ Ray, I'm talking about Radar Ellis, wasn't a DJ, and he may have Steven Weber may have created his name to spite DJ Radar from Arizona, the loop innovator. Shout out to him, because he was really pushing boundaries. But we're gonna be focusing on all these micro stories within Skratch notation history. Because it's very important to get all these things straight and all the dates. So you can see that they're getting these dates wrong, and let's just run this back.
All three of those guys were all breaking ground at that time. I know it's
so they weren't doing that in the 90s, right? All that stuff came after me. They saw my stuff, and then try to claim my stuff. Or Radar was different because he was working with Raul, who did all that stuff. But after my stuff came out, Antimatter came out after my book, after my 2 books.
There's a lot of innovators. All three of those guys
are John Carluccio,
and notate scratches.
Yeah, who was it? Radar. John Carluccio,
Radar,
A-Trak.
A-Trak. All three of those guys were all breaking ground at that time. I know there's a lot of innovators now, but just thinking of those early days of just really thinking of DJing took that like technical turn. I think like to come into a battle was a very technical, daunting thing. So I think this language and the standard came out of it, which we were all part of that at that time,
and that's what's deep, because it's like within turntablism, people have tried to question me in the sense of saying like what have you contributed, and as we can see with Skratch notation is contributed to all the top new DJs, and it's very, very clear that being literate is something that can actually help you, And shout out to Steve Segur, who taught me trigonometry. I feel like Steve Segur is my biggest influence. He taught me about trigonometry in the 4th dimensions. Rest in peace to Steve Segur. When I was in high school, he was my trigonometry teacher. But so let's keep playing this. But yeah, we see that all the turntablists knew about this stuff, right? When it was happening in the 2000s, but this wasn't the 90s.
It's weird to think now, though. I don't think I was forced to really learn about my craft until we started teaching.
Yeah, same here. Go ahead.
No. I just think I did the bare minimum.
Right.
As far as like, as long as I can do it,
right?
Whenever I have to jump on stage, as long as I can do it, that's enough, right? But like, I felt like I was doing myself a disservice.
Okay, so let's just go back one more time for those that didn't catch that. He was saying this was the 90s.
No, it's early day, a length of the part of the country, and we call it shuffling. Oh, we call it doing doubles. Like, we call this the chua chua. We call it the chawa chawa. Whatever. Like, but at a certain point,
So when you're bringing dialects, he's talking about dialects, and when you're bringing dialects together to create a language, that's one of the missions that was written in TTM 2.0, TTM 1.0. I said that this is bringing dialects together to form a new language, as a culture, right? So and the media hasn't really been covering my work. Many outlets have, more of the high art stuff. But shout out to Black Book Magazine, Accelerator Magazine, a lot of different types of things like that. Even Time Magazine, stuff like that. John actually wrote me out of that article. He didn't, mention my name. But so let's play this again.
I think a language started developing in the mid 90s,
for sure,
right? And like there started to become standard names for techniques.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the early days of like really taking this serious in terms of like, hey, this is something that can be considered higher learning.
So he's talking about hip hop education. So people weren't talking about the hip hop education stuff in the 90s like that with Skratch notation. That's what he's trying to say. That A-Trak and them have been doing that since the 90s, which is, we've exposed that A-Trak was a kid then. All right. And also the next episode, I think our next lecture after this is we're going to be talking about the Qbert Craze beef again and the whole weirdo thing. And we're going to be talking about the cover of Toasted Marshmallow Breaks being in A-Trak's, Crater Records, at 15 years old, you know what I'm saying? And the ramifications of that. All right. But let's play this again.
This can be taught, like let's build. And I remember early on, there is turntable transcription that that started at that time. People started being able to write and notate scratches.
Yeah. Who was that? Radar? John Carluccio. Radar. A-Trak.
All three of them.
So this did not happen in the 90s once again to everybody else, but yeah, you can,
those guys were all breaking ground at that time. I know there's a lot of innovators now, but just thinking of those.
So y'all see why I have to go over this stuff, because people see this stuff. 7,000 people have seen that, right? 7,000 views. That's 7,000 people that they haven't seen. 1,000 people have seen my response to that, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? So some of the word is out there. But yeah, I was talking about this timeline. I did a timeline that went from the late 60s all the way to 2017. I'm going to be continuing that timeline from 2017 all the way until that present date when I release it. Probably a good maybe 2027 I'll release that. A good 10-year strip of all the turntablist winners, all the accolades of turntablists. That's what this list is right here. You can go to ttm.ninja to see the full list. Right, these are all the awards, all the things in the movies, the dates of when these things were coming out, so people could get things straight. It's very, very important to get history straight, and this is the first real hip hop timeline for DJs. And I'm working on the MC one, B-boy one, you know what I'm saying, Rider one, but yeah, so let's you can see this, I come out with this 4 years ago. Let's see, this was on the 2019. So it was a year after they had it out. All right, I had done a response to them having the wrong info. You know what I'm saying? So that's two things that they had the wrong info, and it's important. Just like KRS-One, we're gonna be going over his lectures and having wrong info in hip hop history. And as hip hop history studies becomes more refined, we're going to see more peer review stuff like this. And that's what we're here doing at TTM Academy, is we're doing a peer review of the entire hip hop education industry. So we're going to be going over all the TTM tutorials as well. We're going to go over DJ Chile's new tutorials, actually. His new tutorials, his 2 new ones after 7 years. So shout out to him. All right. So yeah, like I was saying before, here at TTM Academy, this year, we're about to get way more tech. Way more tech. You know what I'm saying? All right, so let's go back to this. So this was that, still having that in 2023. So, shout out to them for switching things up and updating. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yep, I think that's it. Let's see. Yeah. So yeah, you can see that timeline on ttm.ninja. Let's see why they beat. Yeah. So and peace to everybody. I just want to shout out to Beat Junkies, and peace once again, because people thought that it was like beef or something, in questioning this error right here. But let's really talk about this error before we go. This error is very important because this is not 1 bar. This is 3/4 of a bar. Right now, if it was a different time signature, the numbers were different. Is different. It could be a bar if the numbers were different. You wouldn't be able to have the number 4 there if it was a bar. It would be number 1 again or the next number from the that new thing, the new count. If it was in 3 counts per bar, but this is supposed to be 4 counts per bar, and they're not showing 4 things. That's the problem. This line is supposed to connect all the way to here. It's not supposed to be an empty space right here. That's the problem with this. So for those that don't know, that's the issue. Okay. All right. So yeah, once again, yeah, peace to whole West Coast, bringing hip hop back, bringing Hotep hip hop back on top. Shout out to Kendrick Lamar, and we're gonna be talking about some They Not Like Us stuff next in this Toasted Marshmallow Breaks review. We're also gonna be reviewing DJ Psy, and we're gonna be not Cymatic, DJ Psy. We're gonna be talking about DJ Psy, Seville. We're gonna be really going in, and we're also gonna be talking about Flair allegations, all the Bambaataa stuff, and because hip hop education. There's a lot of stuff going on historically, even with all the Sedgwick and hip hop origins and all of the discussions that are really happening right now. And so yeah, basically what's really happening right now is people are talking about, who created hip hop, but it really goes back to Bronx Tale Projects, and that was in this picture right here. When you go even farther back, I don't know if I changed the screenshot in this, but let me just go to ttm.ninja so y'all can see the real history of it. So it's not just like, oh, see my website, I'm gonna go ttm.ninja, and we're gonna actually scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we're gonna see this actual chart. So let's see, this should take us to ttm.ninja. I don't know why it's not going. Let's see. It's taking a second. But yeah, the people that started hip hop was a small group of kids, a small group of Black Americans. I don't use the term FBA, but autochthonous, Black youths that were into James Brown and Bruce Lee. You know what I'm saying? And the West Indians actually weren't even there. That was the second generation. That was like Flash and Herc and Bambaataa. That was the second generation that heard about the parties that were going on in Bronxdale. So it started in Bronxdale, and the West Indians and Puerto Ricans weren't part of it. It was just a group of kids in the rec room, in a very, very Black area. You know what I'm saying? And Disco King Mario was Puerto Rican. Johnny Juice says he's not Puerto Rican. He was just posting that. But, Disco King Mario is, says he was Puerto Rican. But, he was a Black Puerto Rican. So, it was a Black American thing. And Disco King Mario started it, with his brother. But there's, debates about whether Disco King Mario was Puerto Rican or not. And they came from North Carolina. That's important to know, too. They moved from North Carolina to the Bronx, right? This thing is not loading. That's crazy. Let me try it on this one. Let's see, www.ttm.ninja. Let's see. That's weird. Huh.
Those early days of just
Yeah, you can just go to ttm.ninja for that. But yeah, peace. Yeah, that's enough of this. All right, so we got history straight. You can see it, but it's a lot of lectures coming up. A lot of deep stuff we're about to get into, especially as far as moral issues and things like that. All right, so peace.